hello, and welcome once again to the Murphy, Watson and Company show. And here is my co-host, Dawn Watson.
Good morning, Michelle. How are you?
Good morning to you. I'm doing great. You know why?
Why?
Because I have two of my favorite people here with us today.
We have good company today.
We have great
Yes.
company. So that always puts me in a good mood. And they are not only brilliant artists in many different forms, but also dear friends, Sheldon Harnick and his wonderful, beautiful wife, Margery Harnick. And we tend to call her Margie, those of us who are friends, right?
Have we met those two wonderful people you're with today?
Well, we go back several years out here,
We
and
do.
I've admired both of you so much in all your different venues.
Same here.
And we have shown in the same gallery.
Absolutely.
Margie's a wonderful artist, and the two of them have collaborated just now on a wonderful book called The Outdoor Museum, which we're going to be talking a great deal about. Margie did all of the photographs, and Sheldon did the beautiful poetry inside, and it's just brilliant. I've been to readings of it, and it's something not to be missed. I have my own inscribed copy, and I think you do too, Dawn.
Yes, we do. In our arts section, they were profiled last year, right when the book came out, by Michelle Trowering, who is a features writer for the press. And we both love and cherish the book. And I know that when Michelle met with you two, she came away from your interview happy that there were couples who are in love such as you are. She said they were amazing, they were wonderful, and so the true partnership. And I think that you see this in the book, and also we'll have to talk later, of course, about your individual careers and how you came together. But
God, she's even more charming than I thought she was.
after the fact, you were charming. But no, we're charmed to have you here. What a real
Thank you.
honor.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, Sheldon, as many of you probably know, is a world-renowned lyricist in the Broadway musical world. And he's written all the lyrics for Fiddler on the Roof, of which everyone knows by heart. They are like our anthems.
Yes.
And so many others, Fiorello, and She Loves Me, and on and on and on. And he has won every prize you can think of, including the Pulitzer, Tony, the Glee Club Award.
Right. I turned down the Nobel Prize because it wasn't offered to me.
Okay. Well, we don't want, and you know, the most amazing thing about this man is it hasn't gone to his head. Sheldon, as you would agree, I think, and maybe you keep him grounded.
She does.
Yeah.
She took away my keys. Right.
You're really grounded.
Yeah. He is so down to earth and wonderfully humble in the most sincere way. And I think that's one of the reasons they both are so close to my heart. And you both have such incredible careers and backgrounds. Margie has been a dancer, a singer, an actress, a painter, a photographer, and a wonderful mother and grandmother and wife and homemaker, as well as everything else, and you balance it all. So how do you do it?
I have a sense of humor. That's how I
Sense
do
of humor.
it.
And you told me the other day the two of you put your children first.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, I want to say with this glowing introduction. Now, we talked before we were officially on camera. I told you this would be an expose, and it really has. It's a real expose of how wonderful you both are.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's terrific.
I thought you said Jose, and I didn't know what you were talking about.
See, that's a
terrific.
lyricist in you, always coming up with it. So, Sheldon, now you are from Chicago.
Chicago.
Right. And you were in the Army, I understand, for 3 years.
I can't believe that myself. It was 3 years in the Army. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
From 18 to 21.
And then you went, is it to Northwestern?
I went to Northwestern University. Yeah.
And studied,
I went for two reasons. At that time, I had a dream of being a violinist.
that's right.
And the teacher that I wanted to study with was there. He had been the associate concertmaster of the Chicago Symphony. Robert Quick was his name. Wonderful man. The other reason I went there, I knew about the show, the annual student review that they did there, which was quite lavish. Full orchestra, beautiful costumes, and Northwestern was a magnet for talented people.
Was
Just
it?
before I had been there, Carlton Heston had been there, and Margaret, a lot of people.
Ann
While I
Margaret.
was there, Paul Lind and Charlotte Ray were there, you know. So there was a wonderful talent pool.
Oh, and you all worked together, knew each other. It must have been great fun.
It was.
As
We're
well.
still friends with Charlotte. Yeah,
Yeah.
we see her every year. Yeah.
Oh, fabulous. And you were, at that point, thinking more along the lines of violin?
That's
Or were
right.
you getting into lyric writing as well?
I was enjoying songwriting, but I didn't consider it a career. And then what was a career changer for me was that Charlotte Ray, and I think it was 1948, she had gone to New York on the spring break. And when she came back, she sought me out. She had an LP in her hand that said, "Sheldon, you of all people have to hear this."
Yes.
And she handed me the album To Finian's Rainbow.
Oh.
And when I listened to it, and I listened to Yip Harburg's lyrics,
Yeah.
I suddenly thought, ooh, that's what I want to do. And
It's
so-
funny, when we know that something strikes us that we say, I could do that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at a math formula, you might not go, oh, I could do that, you know?
None of us in this room maybe, but
get
there are
it.
people who
Oh,
can.
Matt Damon.
Yes, true.
But,
If I
yeah.
looked at a math formula, I'd say, boy, do I want to write lyrics.
Yeah,
Really?
exactly. So we're all drawn to sort of what we can do. We know we can do it. We know it's in there somewhere. Yeah, you must have been confused because you look at dancers and actors and singers and photographers and painters and you say, I can do all of that.
She's been singing since you were how old?
I was on the radio at 7.
You were?
From 7 to 14 at NBC on a children's program. And oddly enough, my father's hobby was, he played the violin, and my mother was a painter. So I was really exposed to music and to painting at a very early age.
And very drawn to violinists.
That's true, that's
Thank
why I married him.
Yeah, they have that magic touch.
I was her beau.
Now that goes down in a lyric. We're going to write that
Yeah,
down.
we
You
have to
can
write that
use
down.
that.
Oh,
Speaking of Bo, now you
And
two met.
fiddler on the
Fiddler,
Right, right.
exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
You met very early in your career, and still early in your career, but I think that you are a little bit more sage than your wife. Is that correct?
I don't understand.
I remember
the
because
on
I know
the
in the
stage, you mean?
no on the in the interview I remember reading because you were 36 and you were younger.
Oh,
you were an
Yeah.
ingenue at the time, right? But
I'm still older than she is.
just still you are.
That hasn't changed.
But tell, what show did you meet on, and how did that happen?
We met on Tenderloin, and I saw Sheldon at the first reading. I didn't know who he was. And I sat down and, oh gosh, he's so cute. And then he turned out to be the lyricist. I went, oh, and he's so talented as well, you know. But I thought he was adorable.
And I remember we all remembered Margie's audition, particularly our director, George Abbott. She came in and had this wonderful voice. And also she showed us that she had a comic voice, and she had this gorgeous blonde hair that was down to here. I think we all just fell for her. We had, as a matter of fact, we had 2 observers with the show. One of them has become a very well-known film writer, William Goldman, and his brother Jim Goldman, who wrote The Lion in Winter. They had a grant from the Ford Foundation, so they were observers on the show. And Bill also fell in love with Margie, and we were kind of competing for her.
Wow, that wouldn't be too bad to have 2 successful, talented, handsome young men vying for your affections. Yes.
But George Abbott was, he was impressed with her. And while Tenderloin was running, Fiorello was also running. And the last 3 months of Fiorello, 3 or 4 months, one of our principals left. And George Abbott just grabbed Margie and took her out of Tenderloin and put her right into Fiorello in the principal role.
And
We
that
loved her
was
work.
such a huge smash
Yeah.
hit.
Well, Pulitzer Prize winning
Yeah.
for drama, right? Is that right, for drama?
Yeah, it was a
It was a
musical.
musical.
Yeah, musical. We won the Tony. Yeah.
And the lucky thing was for me, I had been working since I was a child, and I had done live television as an actress, you know, and I was in The Boyfriend as one of the leads on the National Company, was the first American girl to play one of the 4 English girls. So, you know, I was very comfortable on the stage. So,
Yeah.
but that was all in my favor because he didn't know
was it
anything
ever?
about me.
Wow.
George
Yeah,
Abbott.
I have
and The
to tell you-
Boyfriend is one of my favorites.
Isn't it
Yes,
fun?
I love it.
It really is
Yeah.
very
I have
stylized.
to tell
It's
you this
choreographed.
wonderful anecdote. George Abbott, as you may know, lived to be 107. And when he was about 103, he was still working, and he had revised the book for Damn Yankees. We were invited to the opening night of a revival. And at a certain point, George Abbott came in. He was carried down the aisle by 2 strong men. He was 103. He sat across the aisle from us. At the intermission, I went to say hello, and he was kind of sitting like a mummy. And I said, "Mr. Abbott, it's Sheldon Harnick." And he kind of went, he nodded. And I said, "And Margie." And this big smile spread over his face.
Wow.
That's adorable. That is so, so darling. Tell me now, you two are very involved in the Tonys, and I know you couldn't come on this show with us at the time that we first invited you because you had to see everything before the Tonys.
Sheldon's a Tony voter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the theater today? How are you enjoying going to all of these productions?
Well, we love it. The only thing that worries me a little bit is that Broadway, by and large, has become a showcase for musical theater, and serious drama is pretty much neglected. I mean, if we have 3 or 4 plays during a season, that's a lot. Whereas when you look at the ABC ads, they're 90% musicals, you know. So
Yeah.
luckily in New York, there is still a lot of activity with serious theater, but it's off Broadway.
Yes.
So Broadway is really a home for musicals.
I think it's funny that as a lyricist, you are kind of lamenting the lack of dramas.
I was going to say the
I
same
think
thing.
that's, and I love that. So you really, truly love all aspects.
I'm
of
a
Oh,
serious
wow.
lyricist.
Yeah. Yes, a serious
what?
lyricist. He's
A
a serious
serious
lyricist.
Yeah, a serious lyricist. What do you think of Sondheim's work?
I think he's an extraordinary talent, just an extraordinary
he?
talent.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You
I
must
love his
know
work.
him personally.
I love his work, and I've constantly been nourished by it.
Yes.
Every time I hear a Sondheim score, it just makes me want to go back to work and work harder,
Yeah.
because he's extraordinary.
I find that also with his work. I feel like, he gets a lot of the things I'm feeling, as I feel with your work. And there aren't that many lyricists out there that you get that feeling with. That
Yeah.
it's very soothing. You feel nurtured, as you said, because you don't feel so alone with your emotional life. It's like, okay, they're putting it out there. It's very, very touching.
Universal, I think. It would
Yeah.
be a good word to
Yeah,
describe.
what you said reminds me, Arthur Miller, I read an interview with him. He turned out to be very disappointed because he thought that he could change the world with his work. And he realized that people go to the theater to be entertained, and his work was not necessarily going to change anything. And that was disappointing to me, too, because I like to think my work would change something. And then I realized it's not so much that my work changes something, but if I go to the theater, I don't feel so alone. If what's coming off the stage, I think, oh, my God, I'm like, yes, I agree with that. I like that. I'm not alone. There are other people
That's
who
what I was
feel that way.
trying to express as well. That's why I think I could go to the theater almost every night if I had the luxury like you do. It's so expensive now for most of us to go to the theater. That's the sad
true.
part.
We're indeed
Yeah.
lucky. We really are. We always say that. Every time we go to the theater, we do.
As a Tony voter, I get thousands of dollars worth of tickets. I'm a Tony voter because I'm on the Dramatists Guild and our council. We're all Tony voters.
Oh, I'm in the Dramatist Guild too.
Are you?
Yes.
Then get on the council.
Okay, well, that's a deal.
There's a secret. That's everyone.
All right.
That's terrific. Now, I know that the last I checked in on your career, you're writing a new show. Is that right? Something about an accidental doctor? Or is that correct?
I do have a musical. At the moment, I'm using the same title as the Moliere play that it's based on. The Moliere play is called The Doctor in Spite of Himself. And I haven't found a better title yet. I was at the Library of Congress, and I was looking to see whether there were any other versions of that play. there's an entire card file of operas, operettas, and musicals based on that play. And one of the titles tickled me. It was the Quack Hack.
Oh, I like that. That's
I'm glad it's
terrific.
not your title.
Now, Margie, you do you two work together now? Do you sing with him when you're?
We did for quite a long time. Sheldon has been asked in the past to do various
Benefits.
benefits concerts, and we were at the Rainbow and Stars for 3 weeks together. Well, along with Lee Berry, to do all of Sheldon's work, but not all of it, but a lot of it. And we did 2 shows a night for 3 weeks. It was really fun.
2 shows a night.
Yes, we
That's
did.
quite a bit.
We did. It was great, but we do work well together because we laugh a lot. But but also when I'm singing Sheldon's work, it's as if I wrote the song. In other words, he writes so for the actor that you have to internalize what he's saying and the lyrics, and it's as if it's you speaking, like you've invented this song.
Well, that's helpful when you're trying to be the character.
Well,
for sure.
absolutely, and that's the way I approach his work and anyone's work, as a matter of fact. So it's a pleasure to work with Sheldon. And if if you do something wrong, I've been working all my life, I want to know about it. I don't want to do anything that he doesn't want me to do, or misinterpret anything, or sing a wrong lyric.
What's happened
It's,
is that as Margie got more into painting, and then from there, as she got more into photography, she began to stop vocalizing and to working as keeping her chops warm as a performer, so that it was no longer enjoyable for her to do, because she's a perfectionist. So the last thing we did, my brother had founded a children's theater company, and they had their 50th anniversary recently. My brother passed away, but we were asked to do a song that I had written for their 25th anniversary, honoring my brother and his partner. And I asked Margie, would you make an exception in this case? So she had to vocalize, but that's the last time we
every
performed
day.
together. Yeah.
I would think, being a lyricist, Sheldon, that one of the prerequisites would be to be an incredibly sensitive, feeling person.
Oh, I am.
I think you must be. Is he? He is. So, that said and acknowledged, it's a cutthroat world also that you've chosen to be in. And only the strong survive, I would think. There must be a lot of people who would like to do that and have that poetic soul and the artistic nature, but cannot balance the two well enough to be incredibly successful and use their chops.
I don't find it cutthroat as far as competitive, at least with other lyricists. Most of us who have succeeded know each other and like each other's work. In fact, it's very collegial.
Is it?
What is difficult is the whole idea of being criticized, of being put yourself out there, and some of the critics can be terribly cruel.
Yes.
And when a show doesn't work, it is just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because one has worked so hard and you put so much of yourself into it, and then to be rejected is extremely difficult. I knew one young lyricist who he worked and worked and worked. He finally got his show on. It failed. He killed himself.
It's very hard to separate the individual and the personal from the work.
Exactly.
And when someone does attack the work, you're just, wait a minute, you're attacking me. And that's very, very hard.
Exactly.
That's true in all the art forms.
All of them, absolutely.
But I think the thing that is a bit different about the visual arts, let's say, as the theater, the big collaboration and the amount of money and the amount of rehearsal and the years to do something.
Yeah.
I've been reading Stephen Fry's work. He actually tried to commit suicide, the great English comedian, after a terrible review being on the East End in the theater. And he just disappeared, and he was trying to. Luckily, he's fine, he's doing well. But it is must be excruciating. And there are so few times that you get a second chance with the theater. I imagine if something was considered a flop, there are statistically, very few get to remount themselves. Am
Yeah.
I correct on
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Once in a great while, you can go back and redo a work and make it work, but that doesn't happen very often.
Oh, Rex, what you're doing now?
Yeah, it happened, it's happened to me. In 1976, I did a show with Richard Rodgers. It was based on Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, and it was called Rex. And we made a lot of mistakes. The show didn't work. Some 30 years later, the book writer, Sherman Yellen, and I were at, Richard Rodgers had passed away by that time. We were asked to have it done at the York Theater, which is a little off-Broadway theater, that does flop shows in concert. They found they have an audience of theater people who are interested and to see a flop by reputable people, see why it didn't work. So they asked to do Rex. And Sherman said, ask if we can take a year and reinvestigate the work. So after 30 years, we looked at the piece and we saw what all the mistakes were, and we fixed it. We had a production a couple years ago in Toronto. It was a community theater, but a first-rate community theater. And one of the Toronto critics covered the show, and the first line of his review was, "Where has this show been?" So we fixed it.
So gratifying.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
my
But
goodness.
it doesn't happen very
But
often.
that is very rare. And often I think out of a whole repertoire in one show that, let's say, gets canned, there must be some fabulous songs that go away with it that shouldn't have.
Oh, people have done CDs, collections of hit songs from flop shows. Yeah.
Ah,
It's
love
like a
it.
dubious honor to be included, I guess.
Yeah.
But still, that is amazing to.
You're going to have a
Oh,
CD too?
well,
you didn't even know?
I'm involved in a project. It's not exactly that. There are two musicologists, Bill Rudman and Ken Bloom. 2 years ago, they did a CD called Hugh Martin, who did the songs for Meet Me in St. Louis and other songs. It was called Hugh Martin, The Hidden Treasures. And it was the lesser known and unknown songs of Hugh Martin. And I was asked to do an appreciation of Hugh's lyrics, which I did. When that had been released, then Bill and Ken came to me and said, now we want to do the same for you. I thought, oh my goodness. So we're doing, it'll be 2 CDs. It's a limited release, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 CDs printed. And it'll be basically my unknown songs. And I have a lot of them. Bill said he wanted to use Sunrise Sunset. And I said, but that's not a hidden treasure. People know that song. He said, yes, but we have a recording of you singing it with Jerry Bach, the composer, at the piano. That will be a hidden treasure.
That is wonderful. And I know there is a CD of just you singing called An Evening with Sheldon Harnick.
Oh, that's from the YMHA.
The YMHA, we did that together.
Yeah, they did.
Did you do that together?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I'd like to get a copy
Yeah.
of that. That must be fantastic.
We
Wow.
should have played that. That would have been lovely.
Yeah.
But speaking of, because I know we don't have a ton of time, and I want to really focus on the Outdoor Museum as well and your collaboration. Now, Margie, I understand that you have been taking photos for what, maybe 5 or 6 years now at this point?
No, I started when I was 5 because it was my dad's hobby. And he gave my sister Dorothy and I a baby Brownie camera, and I haven't stopped since then. But what changed along the way is that my daughter, Beth,
Yes,
and her
your
husband gave
friend,
me
Beth Harnick.
a little Sony
digital,
a
yeah.
digital camera. And so I was fooling around with it, and I went, oh, now I can print my own pictures. So that started it, you know. So, but I haven't stopped since, actually. So
I'm sure that folks can see here the incredible collaboration between these two. On one side are Sheldon's poems, and on the other side are Margie's photographs that they did all over Manhattan. It's just an exquisite book.
Thank
You
you.
have to see it.
Well, I love that reflective quality that so many of
Yes.
your photos have. And actually, that's kind of not a double entendre, but it's a double meaning because there's a reflection, like as in the
Yes.
cover, and then there's also a reflectiveness in the subject matter and how you approach it. Some things are almost unapproachable, and you bring sympathy and kindness to them. So,
thank you.
well, it's true. I remember the first time I looked through that, I had some almost tears happen because it's really kind and compassionate.
When Sheldon read to me the poem about the homeless, you know, he'd studied all of the photographs, and I said, well, read it to me, because he loves to read it to me, read to me. So he started reading it, and he was crying so much he couldn't read it.
That was
I
a surprise
know,
to me.
it was
yeah.
so, then we both started to cry. But, it's just that we're so close,
Yeah.
that,
By the way, in the back of the book, there's a CD of me
I
reading
was
the
going to
poems.
ask, would you want to, in our 2 minutes left, just close by reading something from
Sure.
this?
oh, yes.
How about Puddles? I love that poem.
Puddles. Maybe you know best where
Well,
it
you
is.
just had Puddles, wait a
Yeah.
minute.
And while you're,
I have to brag, too. When Publishers Weekly did their review of the book, they called it a uniquely sublime souvenir.
I love that. Okay, here we go. Puddles,
Puddles.
by Sheldon Harnick.
Manhattan puddles, I suspect, are vain. If so, then this must be the reason why. Manhattan puddles know that they reflect Manhattan buildings, trees, and sky. But other puddles, too, may be as proud, content to dwell in town and countryside, reflecting the locales that gave them birth. They glow with chauvinistic pride. I wonder if beneath their calm facades they tremble when they contemplate their fate. They know reflected glory's a mirage and will, in time, evaporate. Aware that their existence may be brief, they take the onward rush of time to heart and choose to spend their dwindling span of days becoming works of art. Like this one.
And then the work of art that accompanies that.
Yeah.
Yes.
All of the photographs came first and inspired the poems.
How long
I
did
was
was it
just-
hard to put the words to the
No,
images?
no, because I was just dazzled by, I had no idea she was that good. But she showed me, about 3-4 years ago, she showed me several hundred photographs, and I went, my God, this is my wife's work. She's a brilliant photographer. So that anytime I was stuck on a poem, I'd just go back and look at the photographs again and become inspired all over again.
Michelle, I know you have your special questions to ask, and these are favorites, I think, of mine as well. So.
Oh, yes, I do have very special questions. So I think we're running out of time. And usually I like to do
Oh, we'll do this. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, I gave it away.
At the very end. That's
Oh, wow.
okay.
Well, we're so
gonna
thankful
make
for you.
a little quick,
Yeah.
a little quick separate video and ask you a question.
Oh,
She
okay.
can probably fade out.
I think she probably can.
Yeah,
so
and
we
then
can
I'll
just
do
go
that
on as if I
separately.
didn't say that and I gaffed.
good.
Not to worry.
But this is a half an hour that went by in about 3.5
I know.
minutes, I think.
I know.
And
We hope you'll come back.
yes,
Oh, we
we'd love to
will.
We have so much more to talk to you both about.
We'd love to.
We
It
would,
was absolutely wonderful to
We had
have
a
you
good
here.
time.
It's fun being with you.
yeah.
Oh, we
Both of you.
agree.
see you as well.